Good evening, good morning, good night, depending on where you are tuning in from, what time it is. I know what day it is. At least I know what day it is where I am. It is Monday, June 7th. Welcome, 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 one and all. And it's an exciting day for so many reasons. Okay, so let's set the mood here. It's time to get your notepads. It's time to get your drink. It's time to get your comfy pillows. Sit back and relax because listen, this conversation I have been waiting for a long time. But you know what? It is right on time because it is happening on a really special day today. So, you are listening to the sounds of Calabash. Woo! Do you hear? Do you hear them? Little Caribbean jazz. I don't own the rights to this music, but I do have permission to play it. Yes, led by Anthony Pierre with the steel band as the key instrument. We are going. And so, for those of you who don't know me, you'll get to know me sooner rather than later. So, welcome to the Victory Speaks Inspired Conversation series. And I am your host, Nicole Waldron, your voice of victory and your mental fitness coach. And I am on a mission. I'm on a mission, people, to inspire you to live a life of victory, a victorious lifestyle. Okay, so here's a little context for tonight. On May 2020, and don't you love the dates? I gave birth to a new baby. Not at age 50, not a physical baby, but a media's baby, a spiritual baby. It came out of my natural advocacy stance and desire to amplify stories of others. I had this desire that was just rebirthed in me to curate inspired conversations with everyday experts, unsung heroes, thought leaders that will empower you and me to live a more victorious lifestyle. Now, some of these people are my iron sharpeners. And if you've listened to me, you know, I tell you, iron sharpens iron. And those are the people that you need to have in your life that inspire you, that mentor you, you know, whether they're up close or from a distance. Now, today, tonight, June 7, 2021, it is show 50. I needed my sound effects. I don't have the sound effects tonight. Anyway, throughout the last 50 shows, you have met many of my iron sharpeners. Some seasoned in my life, been here a long time, and some I just met along the way, and they have already impacted my life. And I'm sure they've impacted yours. And one thing I have recognized along the years is that no matter the type of conversations we have, good, bad, funny, you name it, it can be inspiring. It's all about your perspective. And tonight, I want to introduce you to one of my iron sharpeners who not only impacts my life, but she impacts the life of so I hope you're tuned in. I hope you're sitting back, you're relaxing, and you are ready because I am about to introduce my guest who is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and you'll get to know why pretty soon. She is a translator by trade, Kenyan-born. She is Sarah Onyango, a well-known fixture on the Ottawa's community television and radio scene. She has hosted the monthly African cultural program Fontonfrom on Rogers TV Cable 22, Ottawa since 2002, as well as the weekly radio programs Black on Black and Afrika Revisited on CHUO 89.1 FM, the University of Ottawa's community radio stations since the late 1990s. In 2003, Sarah created Black Ottawa 411, an online virtual health providing information about the national capital's region's Black community, businesses, organizations, and events. She is a timeless promoter of African and Caribbean culture and activities, and has for many years been actively involved in public relations work from various African and Caribbean diplomatic missions, as well as numerous community organizations such as Black History Ottawa, Fed Carib, Dream Keepers, various Caribbean and African associations, and the United Way. So let me tell you, and I'm just giving you a little snapshot of who Sarah is. I mean, her community service has been so recognized. She has gotten awards, including the United Way East Community Builder Award, the Queen Elizabeth II, the second Diamond Jubilee Medal, the Ontario Volunteer Service Award, the leading woman leading girls building communities award, the Ontario Black Histories Matthew De Costa Award, the OC 150 Award, and most recently, the 100 Accomplished Black Woman Accreditation. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I am going to invite the one and only, my true friend. Okay, let's get the applause ready. Okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Okay, we're gonna bring her up.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Oh, Nicole. Congratulations on your 50th. Congratulations on your 50th.
You.
Yes. And thank you so much for the invitation. I usually don't accept such invitations because the people who are tuned in will know that I hate looking at myself. I hate listening to myself. I much prefer to be where you're sitting, where I'm interviewing, not being interviewed, because I just hate talking about myself. But I decided to accept and, so I could celebrate with you, right? Not just in the chat, on the screen. I'm always in the chat. I'm one of those, people throwing peanuts. Yeah, so I'm very, very pleased to be here. And before I say anything further, I would like to really acknowledge that I'm coming to you, I'm speaking to you from the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. I live on the Gatineau side. Kitigan Zibi is not that far from where I live. And I really acknowledge their stewardship of these lands. And I also acknowledge that, as a recently arrived settler, that I have a duty to find out more about who they are and about their culture. So I just wanted to say that. I also wanted to greet you in my mother tongue. Oh. Some people might be surprised to learn that my mother tongue is not Swahili. Even though I'm Kenyan, it's not Swahili. I speak Luo. We are Nilotic people from Lake Victoria. So I would say, Amosi. Amosi.
And what would I say?
You.
And what would I say?
It's a tonal language.
Right.
So you have to have the tone on the right word. So Amosi.
Amosi.
Yeah.
Amosi.
Amosi.
Oh, this is you see, we haven't even started yet, and I'm ready to start crying. Oh my God, Sarah. Oh my gosh. Welcome everybody live and on the replay, whether you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Facebook. Come on in, send us your comments, send us your love, send us your emojis, let us know that you're in there. I have the great, amazing Sarah Onyango on here tonight. I see some people on Facebook. I see Wendy, I see Joan, I see Lovemore.
Hi Wendy, hi Joan.
I see Diana, I see Star Jacobs, I see some great people on YouTube. You got to tell me that you're in here so we can, show you some love as well tonight. So, Sarah, how are you doing handling this pandemic that we are in right now?
Initially, I was sort of very apprehensive because people who know me know that I'm a social butterfly. I'm very much out there in the community, and I really feel my best when I'm with people. I'm out there, I'm at events, I'm covering events, I'm emceeing events, I'm helping organize events, and I'm just out and about in my community. I just love the movement, the energy. And all of a sudden that all came to a grinding halt. It was very difficult for the first month, I have to say. But I luckily have been going into work every week since March last year. And so you know, at least there were colleagues at work, and I was busy. So I was outside of my head. I wasn't sitting at home sort of ruminating. So yeah, but it's been rough because there are a lot of people I have not seen. There are funerals I have not been able to attend in person to comfort people. You know, here in Ottawa, we lost several stalwarts. Dr. Stephen Blizzard, if there's any of his family watching, you know, I send my love to them. We also lost Carlton Braithwaite, a very well-known businessman from the Jamaican community. We lost Mr. Peart, another well-known person from the Jamaican community. I mean, we lost so many people. And just, you know, you're not able to go and comfort them. And, you know, so, yeah. You muted yourself.
I muted myself.
There you
It's
go.
almost like we need to go and have, like, after this, have a, I don't know if to call it a memorial, but a celebration of life for
Yeah.
the many that we have lost who have
Yes.
impacted the lives of Canadians and people around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we you know, that's actually a good idea. Joan Pierre, you're listening, you're online. Okay, good. I hope you're taking that in. A memorial, not a, I don't want to call it a memorial service, a celebration of life for the
Yeah.
icons in our community that
Yep.
we weren't able to celebrate together.
Just
I
make
love
sure
that.
you don't do it on a weekend when I have an event in Montreal or here in Ottawa,
Is there
okay?
ever a day that you don't have an
Because
event?
I'd like to attend.
Is there ever a day you don't have an event?
Uh,
Um,
no.
oh my God. Oh my God. Kathy Grand is here. Yay.
Hey, Kathy.
Your buddy from.
Kathy is one of my iron sharpeners, and I will be speaking about her later when I talk about the work I do.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so before we get deep and personal and stuff, give us a fun fact about you that people don't know, Sarah.
I like imitating people's accents,
Really?
and I'm not going to do it now.
And you're good at
Just so
it.
you know.
That tells me you're good at it. Okay, Joan Pierre's already jumped on. She says it's already in the works with Noreen. I'll keep that in mind, Sarah. Okay.
Oh, hey,
Okay.
Joan.
Okay, Joan.
That's what I love about Joan. She is on
Yeah,
the case.
she is on the case, and Diana is sending you love. And so, okay, tell me. So, what is your passion?
Oh, passions plural.
Oh, passions pure. Okay, tell us your
Yeah,
passions.
I have several. Obviously, my family. I, you know, I grew up uh, in different parts of the world at different times of my life. I'm what you would call a global nomad. I'm the child of a diplomat. So we traveled around a lot. And so family was very important because that was the only thing that would anchor me anywhere. You know, when you have to keep uprooting every 3 years, just like diplomatic brats, the only people who are a constant in your life are your family. So yeah, family would be one. Um, but really, most of my adult life, my big passion is my Black community, my Black culture.
Mm. And we know this for sure because you celebrated, and just by even you starting, you know, the website that you do, we know that is definitely a passion of you, and we're going to definitely go at it. So you talk about being a nomad and growing up as a diplomat, and not many people know that about you. So we're going to get deep and personal because we are giving you your flowers now. So you grew up in Kenya. What was it like growing up in Kenya in your early years?
Okay, so I actually did not spend a lot of my life in Kenya, right?
Oh,
We left Kenya, no, we left Kenya when I was 2, and we moved to Tanzania. And
wow.
then 2 years later, we were on a plane to Brussels, Belgium. So, because my dad was in, you know, that wave of initial foreign service officers after independence. Kenya got independence in 1963. And in 1970, we were off to Brussels because the 3 East African countries, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, formed sort of like a union. So it was the East African community. So my dad went to Brussels to open our office that was going to be interfacing with the EEC, which is now the European Union. So at age 4, we land in Europe, and for the next 6 years, I left Belgium when I was 10 and went back to Kenya, but only stayed there 2 years, and we were back in Belgium. So most of my childhood, I would say, was spent in Belgium, a country that has French and Flemish as the 2 main languages. And the reason I'm talking about this is so that people understand that my ease, the reason why I move so easily between different communities, because a lot of people don't even realize I'm Kenyan. And in some cases, continental African, because I just move easily between
Really?
my friends from Haiti, my Jamaican friends, my Trini friends, my Kenyan, my Nigerian friends, my Ghanaian friends, my South African friends. People just forget, and they even speak to me in their native languages because they just forget. They're so used
You're
to
the African Union. You are the African Union, Sarah.
and CARICOM without being Caribbean. And this
Yes,
is
you
because
are.
of how I was raised. This is because of what life was like in that household where my dad and my mom had people from different nationalities in and out of the house. We had receptions in the house. We had visitors from the different embassies and missions. And my parents created an environment where people were people with different accents, different cultures,
Mhm.
different foods, etc. But they were people.
Right,
And if they were
right.
nice, they were nice. It's not, oh, the nice Italian lady or the nice Malian lady. No. So I grew up in a world like that where there's just that ease. And my siblings have also gotten that ease, and I've had friends from all over and felt comfortable with different people from different nationalities. And so that has helped me in my community work because I'm able to my mentor June Gervin gave me the name community connector. It's easy to connect.
Such a fitting name for you.
Yeah, that's a title I like, not all of these
Yeah.
superlatives. I like the connector because I like being the bridge builder between different communities within our Black community.
Hmm.
Because a lot
Hmm.
of people talk about Black unity or unity in the Black community, but you cannot have that if the different communities are not talking to each other, are not learning each other's cultures, appreciating those, and sort of just, working together to create an environment where people can just move easily from one culture to the other. That innate skill I learned from the way I was brought up, from watching my dad and my mom do that.
Now it makes so much sense now when I think about seeing you in Ottawa, seeing you at events, hearing you talk, hearing your shows, hearing your interviews. It's all coming together now. The plethora of history and what you grew up in. See, this is why you got to take the time to know people. This is why we're doing this show. I'm learning stuff about Sarah that I didn't even know tonight. And sometimes, we call each other good friends, and then we miss some of the depths of who they are. So you're growing up, you're in Belgium, you're all over the place. And how did you even end up here? Like, when did you end up in Canada?
Well, in 1980, my dad broke the news to us that we're moving to North America, and we were like, "Ooh, what?" We knew nothing about North America
Right.
except what we had seen on TV. So all of those cop shows, and the cop shows and Roots. That's it. That's all really we knew about America, and we knew even less about Canada. We had no clue. We'd never even really heard of it. So we show up here, and it was very difficult because, like I was telling you earlier, Everybody thinks, the life of these diplomats' kids is, a charmed life of the chauffeurs and the residents and the no, okay, no. A lot of that is your dad's job or your mom's job if she's the one who is the foreign service officer, and all of that, just can disappear like that. It's kind of artificial. What you really have to deal with, the reality, is being uprooted often during your growing up years. And for me, it was especially difficult because I was 14. Can you imagine that age? You're an adolescent. It's that awkward time. And I was in a class with kids I had known since grade school. Some of the kids I had been with in the 70s,
right,
were the ones in my class, and then I had to leave them again and start over in this country, Canada, where, by the way, I didn't even realize this French they were speaking was French. I thought it was a Slavic language or something. I'm telling you, it sounded nothing like what
French
we're used to in Europe. Nope.
Yeah.
No.
It's a very different French. Yes.
Oh, yeah. It was very, very difficult. So, very much we sort of relied on each other and ourselves. And I had this really sheltered existence with, my parents, my siblings, and the people from the embassy. And that's pretty much what it was, except for, kids at school. And another thing that I'd like people to know about being in the diplomatic corps is that, you have things to deal with, like security risks, security issues. When we were at the European school, we had bomb threats there. And yeah.
What was that like? Like to experience that.
This was the 1970s, and we had the IRA. And we had the IRA in Northern Ireland. We had the Red Brigades, and then we had the Israeli-Palestinian thing going on at the same time. And since it was an international school, and a lot of the kids who went there were kids of military, kids of diplomatic corps or international organizations, of course the school was going to be,
targeted.
Yeah. So, it's things like that. Like you're not really, you don't have that freedom to move around. It's not always a very normal sort of growing up. You're sort of in a fishbowl kind of thing. But you know what? I'm not complaining. In case there are people there saying, listen to her privileged self,
Yeah. No, you're definitely not. I think for me, when I hear it, you're giving such context because some people don't understand. They think it's just
the reality,
glamour. Right. And they see the chauffeurs and stuff and they don't understand. And you would even understand more like what, like Barack Obama went through, Michelle Obama, even our, prime minister, what they went through and why they have to have all these details where some people know they're just being antisocial or whatever it is. It is a very serious thing. And I'm sure it must be very traumatic. Like how a young age handling this type of trauma.
Well, I wouldn't
in some ways
trauma necessarily. I wouldn't call it trauma. It all depends on your parents. We were fortunate in that, we had parents who really they protected us, and we knew what was up because we were told what was up. It's like, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, and you can't do this. Okay? We're here at the pleasure of the government. We're, your dad and blah, blah. So there's a code of conduct that we expect from you. And you just follow that code of conduct. Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's that. So that's how I ended up here.
So you end up here and you go to university
early
on.
School.
No? High school first.
I was 14, remember?
14. So you go through high school and then you go into university. And you seem to have been sheltered because you were living in this diplomatic corps. Like this is a whole different world to you.
Yeah.
Like what was this like, this whole transition now from there to this?
You know what? It was rough. It was really rough because my dad the next posting was back to Africa, in Central Africa. And I was at the end of high school, and my parents were like, "Oh my God, like, our eldest child, like, we can't send her, we can't have her come with us and go to university where we're going. We can't send her to Kenya. She'll be by herself. Ugh, well, let's see if we can get her, a program in Canada." And by then it had been decided I was going to study translation, and my both my parents had taken courses. My mom actually has a master's degree from the University of Ottawa, Faculty
Wow.
of Education. So she was, she knew that, the quality, and she liked it, etc. So I managed to get a scholarship to attend translation school at the University of Ottawa. However, I was 17 years old. 17. I was a child. I'd never lived outside of home. I'd
Mhm.
never. I'd never lived away from my parents in my life. So it was a very, very difficult. I mean, they had people from the embassy who sort of looked out for me, but
It's
whew,
very different when you're
yeah,
young, because I came
yeah,
here at 18. Yeah.
mm,
So I totally feel you. And the
yeah,
funny thing was, and here's a synergy you don't know. I came here at 18 with my parents, and then my dad had to go back home to finish something for the government. So I was left here with my aunts and stuff. And when you're shy and you're living again, you've always lived with your parents and you're living this sheltered life,
mm-hmm,
you don't realize it's a different world. I came up here to do psychology, but I never did it because I was so shy, Sarah. I didn't even, when you don't know what you don't know, you don't know what
mm-hmm,
to ask, you don't know who to ask. And so
yeah.
instead of asking, you just get quiet and you just regress. So I can really relate to that. And now, so this nomadic experience that you've had, because you're a globalist. I don't know if that's, the right word for you, but you're a
I'm a global
globalist,
nomad.
a global nomad,
Yeah,
you
that's what they
know.
call us.
How did it shape you as an adult? How did it make you into the woman that you are today?
Well, I mean, it gives you a lot of exposure, and it's good that the moving around sort of um, was spread out
Hmm.
over different periods of my life. And what happens is you learn to become adaptable. Like, you learn to adapt very quickly, because every time you move, you arrive somewhere and bam, like, you have to hit the road running
Wow.
right away. Like, there's no time to self pity and, oh, and I miss my friend. You don't have time for that. You have
Mhm,
to
mhm.
just hop to it. So after university, I actually moved back to Kenya when I was done university. Yes, because I had to go back and work for the government of my country, of the Kenyan government. So I went back and worked for the Kenyan government for 4 years at the Public Service Training Institute. It's called the Government Training Institute now. Um, and I got a scholarship to do my master's degree. So off I went again, moving again, this time to France, where I had never lived.
Wow, Sarah.
Moved to France, and not to Paris, to Eastern France,
Oh,
across the border from Switzerland. So that was even more alien to me. So um, that was a good experience. I have to say, it was a good experience. I made some friends who are friends to this day. Some of them might actually be tuned in from France. La Vigne, Tumwemwe, if you're there. Um, and you see different parts of the
mhm,
world, different
mhm.
ways of doing things, and you just develop these coping and survival skills. It's incredible, because everywhere you go, it's a new currency, it's a new system, like rentals, your health card, your ID, your this, your that. The bureaucracy is different everywhere you go. Um, yeah, like, you're constantly having to relearn.
So, what was one of the biggest lessons you would say that you learned for yourself out of those experiences traveling from place to place and having to adapt?
Always have an open mind.
Mm,
Yes, always have an open mind. and don't approach new situations um, with a defensive, insecure stance. Because you can't afford it.
Right.
You're
Right.
going to fail your adaptation if you do that. Always approach these changes and new situations from a position of strength so that you can empower yourself to not just manage, but thrive. That's the thing.
But what does that
Everywhere I
strength look?
went,
What
I
does that
didn't want to
strength look
just
like, though?
manage. I wanted to thrive.
Thrive. You wanted to grow, but what does that strength look like? Because when I think of a shy, introvert child like myself,
Hmm.
I strength to me, like I didn't even know what that. I was strong leaving Trinidad, but I shrunk coming here.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what? I was lucky in that my parents really inculcated and then reinforced
Mm.
our sense of identity. I've always known who I am. I'm Sarah Onyango. I'm so and so's daughter. This is who my family are. My grandparents are like such and such. I know how to speak my actual mother tongue. I know exactly where in Kenya we're from. The two different villages of both my parents. Like I, when I go out into the world, I have my internal compass that grounds me, my cultural internal compass, but I also have the the values and the street smarts that enable me to, once I land somewhere, okay, let's sort ourselves out here.
To me, when
Let's
I
be
hear that,
resourceful. Yeah, you learn to be resourceful, not just
forceful, and I
pardon?
hear and I hear identity. I hear
Yeah.
like you, because when I'm thinking about the tug and pull of so many people,
Mm-hmm.
when I hear what your parents made sure that, because you said, I know who I am. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
parents and such. I am this and I am that. And
Mm-hmm.
identity is what I
Mm-hmm.
am hearing. So rooted and
Very
grounded in
key.
who you are. It was like
Yeah.
it's a nucleus inside of you.
Yep.
That's a big thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
And yeah, I that right there, and I think it's so much, we're in such an identity crisis now, because when I think about the pandemic, just to go back on the pandemic for a hot minute, and I think
Mm-hmm.
of so many people who jobs transition and lost their jobs, they
Yeah.
tied their identity, I don't know if
To
you
the
found that,
work.
to the
Yes.
work,
Yeah.
and they have
Well,
no
the
clue
work
who they
that
are.
pays. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Paid
Oh.
employment.
Mm.
You know what one of my favorite sayings is? I hope none of my work colleagues are on here or my former colleagues. But actually, some of them I have told them because I've been asked very often, okay, so you have a full time job and then you do all this volunteer work. Because, by the way, people, none of this broadcasting that I do um, at
Hey,
the community radio station
yeah,
or at Rogers TV, none of it is paid work at all. It is volunteer. And I've been doing it for over 20 years
it's a lot, Sarah.
because that's where I get my satisfaction, my gratification. Um, and I've told people my paid employment is paid employment. It's not
Mhm.
my life.
It's
It
not that
is not
passion.
me. It is
Yes.
not who I am.
Right.
But it just so happens that the livelihood that I get from it enables me to do all this other stuff that I'm passionate about for free.
So being a translator is one of the things that you do, and now you're propelled into this media space.
Yeah.
How do you move from even being that translator into saying, okay, I want to be in journalism and I want to be in media? Like, where did that spark come from? Because it's a big
Ah,
spark that turned into a big fire. It's like a
yeah.
bonfire in you now.
Now that's an interesting story. Originally, I wanted to be a foreign correspondent when I was 6 years old. When I
Wow.
was six, I could
Six.
still see myself standing in front of a black and white TV set in Brussels. My dad is sitting on the couch and I'm standing there and I'm looking at these people reporting from was it from the Middle East, blah blah blah, reporting from blah 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 in an exotic location, looking like they were having an adventure or whatever. And I said, yeah, that's it. That's what I want to do. I want to be a journalist and I want to do that. I was 6 years old. Crazy 6-year-old. And that obsession and passion never went away. It never went away. I actually became a translator to please my parents. But my parents kind of were onto something because I'm good at languages, right? And they saw that at an early age and they realized that, hey, we should channel her into that. And thank God they did, because I've managed to make a living at this for over 30 years, right? But that passion for journalism, storytelling, broadcasting, it never, ever, ever died from age 6, ever. I shoved it in the back of my mind. But it would sort of come creeping back. And then when I got the opportunity to be behind a microphone and be telling stories or interviewing, you better believe I jumped at the chance and I've never let go.
And you're an amazing interviewer. If you've been interviewed by Sarah Onyango, get ready, get ready, get ready. If you had never heard her, go listen to her. I am just saying, I just want to drop 2 comments here. Ooh, this is from Emily. I just learned something amazing about you, Miss Sarah.
Emily! I love Emily Mills. How she hustles. Yes. How
She's
she
my
hustles.
iron sharpener. She's one of my iron
Very
sharpeners.
much so.
Vivian tuned in, says,
Yes.
Is there anything you think you couldn't do?
Oh, is there anything you know what? I could never compromise my values.
Ooh. That's big.
Ever. Ever.
That
Integrity, values, and never, ever ask me to throw my Black community under a bus. Ever. Don't come at me like that.
Oh.
Ever.
Oh.
Trust me.
I think we need a story. We need a show just on that. When you get thrown under the bus by your own community, because we know what we're talking about right now. We know.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think, you know what? We're just going to say thank you for the vindication of Justice Donald McLeod right now. I'm just calling it out.
Hallelujah.
I'm just calling it. I'm just going to call it out. I'm just going to call it out. We're going to call a spade because, both of you and I and many have witnessed his work and have seen his advocacy and seen him, open doors for many and sacrifice. And it's like, even though you have that job that's pay, you're still taking risks and doing the advocacy for your community. So, I say kudos to anybody doing advocacy right now. And just stopping on the advocacy piece for a minute, one message, especially as we've just gone through what we've just gone through as a community in the last 2 years and such, would you have for anybody doing, as a community connector like yourself and doing the advocacy, what would you say?
Well, myself in the advocacy work that I've done, I always assume I have haters. Always assume that there's going to be somebody out there who is not happy with what you're doing for whatever reason, whether it's because they feel you're empowering the community too much or a segment of that community, or you're showing them up in a way because you're more effective at something, you have more access than they do, whatever the reason. Always keep in the back of your mind that you don't only have fans and friends. Okay?
Haters are going to hate. Haters are going to hate. Haters are going to hate.
But you know what? You shouldn't stop at haters going to hate. Okay? Because there comes a point where you actually have to confront the haters and find out, listen, why aren't we working together?
Mm.
Why the hate? I don't believe in, and that's another thing about me, and people know about me, and I've actually had people say, well, why don't you keep that for yourself? Why, whatever, whatever. No, because that's not how I roll. That's not what
Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
like, I like being like my co-host and one of my iron sharpeners, Adrian Caudette of
Mm.
Three Dreads and a Bald Head and Black on Black and the Black Student Forum. Adrian always talks about herself as being an opportunities broker.
Woo! I like
Yes,
that. I like.
yes,
I gotta write that down. An opportunity.
opportunities
Where's
broker.
my pen and pencil? An opportunities
Opportunities
broker.
broker. There is
Wow.
power and there is honor and there is great satisfaction in being an opportunities broker. Okay? Because everybody has their different lanes. There are
Mhm.
some lanes I will not occupy. I'm not going in Kathy Grant's lane, Legacy
Yeah.
Voices.
Yeah.
She's my boss. I'm running behind her and I'm helping her do stuff. I'm not going to be in her lane. She's the expert on, the
Yeah.
Black military history, whatever. I enable that work in any which way I can. Same goes for other people. And there is honor and empowerment in doing that. Why does it always have to be about you? Why do you always have to be out front? Why?
This is another reason why I love you to the sky and beyond.
I
To the
don't
sky and
understand
beyond.
it. I literally do
And
not,
I
and I'm
don't
not, it's not false modesty. A lot of people don't believe me. That really is how I think. And maybe it's because I'm an eldest child of 5
hmm
and I was brought up to be, the helper and the enabler and the supporter and the right. So I don't know how to be any other way. However, not everybody appreciates that. So
It's very true. And again,
community advocates,
you know
pardon?
what I find with that? You know what I find with that, Sarah? They actually sometimes doubt your authenticity when you show up
Oh,
like this.
I know, I know.
They think
But
you're out to get something.
you know what? I can't really worry about that. I'm
Mm.
too busy trying to
Doing.
do the work of connecting people
Yes.
to my network so that they can get what they need to better do their work, to start an initiative, to meet people who can help them get that loan, get that internship if it's a young person, meet the right people who are in such and such government departments, et cetera, et cetera. That's where I get my satisfaction, being really that connector. But again, I fully expect there are haters out there.
So, well, Emily's coming up in the rear going, you've
Yes,
always been
ask
so wonderful
questions.
and welcoming to folks from outside Ottawa and Quebec. So, my question to you, Sarah, is this: how can we create better unity between Black communities in different parts of Canada?
Well, I don't expect everybody to have the same ease as I do, moving from different, because je suis francophone aussi. I speak French, so that helps. And I really highly recommend all of us in our African and Caribbean communities, if you do not master both official languages, c'est le moment de le faire. You're never too old to learn.
I'm not
That
good
will
with
help.
languages. I'm just gonna. Can I just plead the fifth here?
Okay.
Nicole does not have a natural thing. No parlez-vous français. Sorry. Okay,
Okay.
good.
All right. So I'll stop.
Okay.
But so back to Emily's question.
hmm
I find we're not very well informed about each other. Well, in general, Canadians are kind of not very well informed about the communities in different regions, because in school it's not taught very well.
Yeah.
However, one thing that I've seen in the last few years that I really like is that thanks to social media and the digital world, etc., we've been able to create sort of like what I did with Black Ottawa 411. Black Ottawa 411 was born out of that necessity because I was just fed up of this whole 2, 3, and 4 solitudes. The Caribbeans are not talking to the Africans, who are not talking
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
Anglophones and the Francophones. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is so dumb. It's a small community. We need to all have a place where we can find each other. And so that's why I created that. But again, the people who do have those networks, the BBPA, for example, there are a lot of Black organizations that call themselves the Canadian this and the National that, who really are not.
Right.
And it behooves all of those organizations to shift that dynamic and be leading that charge of bringing together the communities. So in the case of professional associations, obviously it's going to be their profession, etc. But there's no reason why national associations, the Bajan associations across Canada, the Jamaican associations across Canada, the Kenyan ones across Canada, etc., etc. Okay, so if you have national, can you guys not create some sort of, even if it's virtual, meeting place of
Come on
all of
now.
these
Come on
communities?
now, Sarah.
Can you?
Yes.
Because we can do it, and it wouldn't take all that much. But one thing that really we need to understand is that you just can't come at people with Black unity.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. Like, stop that whole little Black unity. Stop. No. That's not how you create this. You have to meet people where they are. And often where they will get together with other Black people is area of interest.
Right.
So all
Yes.
Black people who are interested in business, trust me, whether they're Nigerian, Ghanaian, Eritrean, whatever, Black Business and Professional Association, that's what they're going to Google. Black
Yes.
business something.
Yes.
Right?
And
So
Sarah, I have noticed that because you know what? You have a prime. I think we both have a prime example. We've been doing these fireside chats
yeah.
with 100 ABC women, and when I see the groups by their professions or their interests, I am seeing such synergy coming from all over
Exactly.
Canada, and like they're like,
Yeah.
"Where are you? I didn't know about you, and what did you
Exactly.
do?" And there is
Yeah.
just like this. There's this fireball starting up. So to that, I
We need
never thought about it that way.
Exactly. I've actually always thought about it, which is why all these esoteric conversations around, Pan-Africanism and Black unity, but there's no such thing as Black unity. By the way, a lot of African people, until they arrive in North America, they have no clue that they're Black. On the African continent, we know. When I say that, I mean, for us, Black is this word that it doesn't mean anything. Because for us, if you say, Africans versus Europeans versus Asians,
That's
I
different.
understand what you're saying. The racial constructs are expressed like that, not in terms of Black, white, whatever. No. So Black unity is not going to be the rallying point. And that's why when you get these organizations or groups that are all about rah Black unity, and they wonder why there are groups of Africans or West Indians, whatever, who just can't relate, it's because it's not something. It's not an area of interest that they can. It's not a focus, right? So, for example, a national Black Parents Federation, that sort of thing. Oh, trust me, you're going to get Black people from everywhere, right?
Because we have one common denominator, and it's finding the common denominator is what I hear you say.
So, for example, recently, Black medical students created the first national organization bringing together Black, not Caribbean, African, no, Black medical students in all the different institutions. So that's a start. I'm not saying you stop there, but that's a start. Find an area of interest. The Association of Canadian Association of Black Linguists, CABJ. I'm so glad that the Association
Didn't
of
even know
Black
such a thing.
Journalists.
I didn't even know such a thing because you said linguist. I didn't even know such a thing existed.
No, it doesn't, but it could.
Ah,
It could,
I just give you a new task.
right? So
I
all of
just
us
give you a new task.
Black translators and interpreters across Canada can know where to find each other. So that, for example, if there are opportunities in our field, we can pass on those opportunities for people who are looking for those opportunities, but who happen to be from our community.
This right here.
So Emily,
Sarah,
that would be one way to begin.
listen. That,
And then
Sarah.
of course, there's the inform yourself. Inform yourself. Take interest. Actually, take interest.
Right, right. That, Sarah, what you said right there was a bing bing moment for me. It was for many. And if you agree with Sarah, live and on replay, you drop comment on there. And because you're dropping wisdom, I told you to get your notebooks because the ideas are coming out and we're going to change. Sarah changes and affects lives. And I just want to go back and delve into a little more about Sarah because you have this wisdom, right? And like when I think about mentorship, because you had to have some serious mentors in as you going through life. And Emily says, notes taken. Thank you for your insights and your ideas. And of course, the gracious Kathy is on here. I have so much love and support for Sarah. She's telling your business now. We share the lane, although she won't admit it. She did a doc on Black veterans before we met. My dad brought us together.
Yes, we met at his funeral. Her dad had decided we were going to meet and work together. He had decided. I met her at his funeral, and we've been working together ever since.
That is amazing. So we have to get into Kathy and what you guys are doing. But I want to know a little bit about that mentorship because I know you've had some significant people in your life. And what is that? The power of mentorship and the people that have inspired you and impacted you to even be more of Sarah than you are when you left Kenya and came to Canada and traveled the whole world.
How can I not bring up the late John Dennison?
Mm.
Whew, I have to just sort of get myself together here.
Okay.
I mean, he passed away in 2014, but it's, every time I actually speak his name, it's as if, because John is in my head constantly. Yeah. A lot of my community advocate code of conduct that I walk around with inside my head is John.
Hold on. Hold on. Community advocate
code of conduct.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is in my head, and he put it there.
So first tell us who, because people don't know who John Dennison is. So maybe you should tell them a little bit about who he is because he's very significant in history.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. So John was he was from Guyana and very, very proud Guyanese. He would remind you every chance he got, who was a long time federal public servant, over 30 years in the federal public service. And yes, Joan, oh yes, I learned a lot and he was the best. And he actually was a big advocate at Canadian Heritage for, all the programming around Black History Month. And not just Black History Month, he also championed, Asian Heritage Month, Indigenous Month, and all of that. And John really was driving the change at a time when there was a lot of resistance.
Mm.
Okay. And he wouldn't give up, he wouldn't give in, and he just kept at it no matter what they threw at him. And partly thanks to him, when you go to the Canadian Heritage website, you're going to see things like the Heritage Minute videos. You're going to see all this information about different historic figures, etc. John and a number of other people were the driving force behind the Matthew DaCosta Challenge, the poster series. You know how every year there's a poster and a theme? Yes, that's John. So many other things I could talk about. But John was also, a great enabler of Black empowerment. The Harambee Center in Ottawa, John was part of that. And who knows? He didn't tell me everything, and I'm sure as the years go by, I will learn of other initiatives that he supported or helped get off the ground, etc. But okay, this is another piece of advice. People are watching you, and you never know who is watching you. Be ready. Let me explain. So I started my Black community advocacy work with the Harambee Center in the early 90s. And I just moved back from Vancouver, and I had no connections to the Black community. So I went there to start volunteering. And then, of course, it folded, etc. Then I ended up volunteering at the radio station, etc. And then doing a lot of, things in the community with different associations. All that time, Mr. Dennison was watching, this thing, flitting from one event, one initiative to the other, and here, and with Black History Ottawa, whatever. And he said to himself, she could have bigger impact if she just organized herself better and was more selective and focused. This is what he was seeing. I had no idea. None. And then in the mid-2000s, this very elegant and tall gentleman with very, very distinct, very clear, wonderful elocution. But see, now I'm imitating his voice. Because John is always in my head.
So he actually got you to do the imitation, even though in spirit, even though he's not here. Thank you,
But he's
John.
in my head. That's
Yes,
because
yes,
he's always
yes.
in my head. But
Yeah,
anyway, so
yeah.
he approached me at an event, and I was like, your typical, excuse me, no, you too old for me now. I don't know what you looking for, but, I ain't about that. Like, no. I wasn't ready. Like, I had, my guard was up, my preconceived notions, blah, blah. This guy's just trying to like hit on me or whatever. No. For whatever reason, it's like he sensed it and he just said, I just want to talk to you about what you're doing in the community. Do you have a few minutes, whatever? Yeah. So he came and he said, look, I've been watching, what you do, whatever. And it's really good work. I really commend you, blah, 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 blah. However, I really feel you need to elevate your game. You need to take it up a notch. You need to do things. Yes. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, how dare, like, does this person think? And something in the back of my head said, no, stop. There you go. Somebody is trying to teach you something. Listen. So I just quieted all those thoughts and I listened to what he was saying. And I'm glad I did. Because he saw something I did not see. I did not see. All that you see now, the level at which I do things now, I was not like this in the early 2000s at all. This man came and pretty much I went to the John Dennison School of Community Advocacy.
Advocate Code of Conduct School.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So things like your authentic self. every single time. None of the pretense, the this and that. Your authentic self. Know why you're doing what you're doing. Know why you're there. Show up somewhere on purpose and with purpose. Don't just be somewhere because, oh, well, it's an event. Oh, okay. No. Why are you there? Is your presence there going to help the Black community? Is it going to do something for Black representation? Is it going to change minds or the image of what usually a non-Black audience has of our community? Is it a place where you're likely to be able to make the kind of contacts that are going to help you help your community? Show up on purpose with purpose.
Show
Don't
up on
just
purpose with purpose.
with purpose. Don't just show up somewhere just to show up somewhere. Know why you're there. Right? And then when you're there, make sure you have, your elevator speech is all set. Observe, 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 observe. Pay attention to what's going on. Who's who? Ask questions.
This is like a masterclass right now. I feel I just went into a masterclass.
John Dennison was a masterclass, for real. You should have seen his funeral. Christchurch Cathedral was filled out the door. And that's a big cathedral. And it was filled out the door for Mr. Dennison.
Wow.
And I met a lot of other people he had mentored, whether it was the public service, in the arts community, etc. It's gotten to the point where we actually recognize each other because of the way we move about the community and the way we do things. So, and for him, mediocrity, unacceptable. Mediocrity is unacceptable. You do everything with excellence. You show up your best to do your best. No, he huge. I'm really, like, I would not be, quite literally. And he completely changed my trajectory because Mr. Dennison took me from pretty much being exploited left, right, and center, just emceeing this, that, and the other thing. Not really sure why I was doing it. He took me from that to traveling with him across the country, helping to host the Matthew DaCosta Awards, and then meeting brilliant minds who have elevated my thinking, my intellectual universe, my knowledge of Canada, even, thanks to him. Like, I met people like Anthony Sherwood when we did there was a commemorative event at the Christchurch Cathedral, the Lawrence Hills, the Rosemary Sadlers, all of these people. The Governor General, I got to MC an event for Michaëlle Jean, her first Black History Month event as Governor General of Canada. John. That was John Dennison.
You have just spoken to mentorship in a whole different level.
And you know what?
That is what a mentor, that's what an iron sharpener needs to be, has to be.
Listen, if there is an Oscar for that or some sort of award, he would get like the Lifetime Achievement Award of Excellence for that, because he didn't go in there because, oh, I want people. In fact, he didn't really, he wanted to stay in the background. He wasn't in it for himself. He already back then was thinking of legacy. And that's another piece I want to talk about, because that's the mode I'm in now, right now, Mentorship is also about your legacy.
Mm. Hold
It's about
on.
your legacy.
I'm just going to give you guys 2 seconds to run and grab a piece of paper, get your phones out because she's dropping the knowledge. This is not even bombs, these are like jewels. Okay, repeat what you just said about legacy.
Mentorship is also about your legacy, which is why when you're mentoring somebody, you really have to give it as much as you can. You can't go in sort of, you know, halfway. It's an investment you're making. It's a big investment. And for John, it was a huge investment. That man used to call me every day. You know, Sarah, what are you doing? Where are you going again? Why? Why are you going there? Who's going to be there? What's that about? Are you sure you want to do that? Blah, 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 blah. Like, no. He was really invested. It wasn't just me. There are other people. I know Sion Foyne might be listening. Sion, you know how John was. That man didn't play, okay? And it made us who were mentored by him afraid to disappoint him. Oh my goodness. My number one fear, to disappoint him.
Wow. Like this right here, it almost feels like, and I'm just listening, even looking at the some of the comments even Joan put in there. This is where you see the conversation is worth it, where you bring on a few people that were mentored by this man, and let's have the conversation. What did you learn from the legacy? What did you learn from this mentorship? What did you learn from the relationship? And this is why, like Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to comment without crying, because if I didn't do a show after tonight, this this is the period on the 50 shows, because you are wrapping up. Even in this, we're not wrapping up the conversation, so anybody who need to go take your washroom break, whatever, we're not wrapping up the conversation right
No, no,
now.
no, no. We're
No,
not done yet.
we only just begun. It is important to have conversations, and it's important to not motivate people but inspire each other to
Yes.
greatness.
Yeah.
It is important that we invest in each other. It is
Mm-hmm.
important. When you
Yes.
say mentorship is also about legacy,
Your
who did you
legacy.
see, your legacy?
Mm-hmm.
And then as
Mm-hmm.
you do that, you're creating legacies along the way by what you pour
Yes.
into others. Because, okay, just now I got to scroll down to the bottom of my script, because I want to tell you the quote that I pulled out today. Hopefully, I can find it in my thing here, because I may not even find it. It was from Albert Pike. What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for
Yes.
others
Oh yeah.
lives
Lives on.
forever. I'm
See,
like,
look at me.
I'm listening to you, and I am getting, yeah.
John left in 2014 and still to this day. I actually have a picture of him at work in his judge's robes, looking at me disapprovingly. So if I'm thinking, oh, I'm tired, I'm gonna quit. Oh, I'm so disappointed. So and so did such and such, and oh, and blah blah blah. And then I look over and there's that picture looking at me like, we do not quit. He talked in the third person. We do not quit.
Wow. I think I just need a masterclass to now listening to. Like Serena is like, I've been sitting in my car glued for an hour. Serena's in what? Serena's in DCA in my car for an hour.
Hi,
I don't want to
Serena.
miss a minute. And I'm sitting right out front of my house. So many gems drop. And I'll tell you, Serena has tuned in to, since I met Serena last year, Sarah, she's like you. She's tuned into every
Yeah, and I
show.
tuned into your conversation with her.
Yeah. She's
I'm the
tuned
one
into
who asked
every
for the
show.
part two
Yeah,
of that conversation.
she is just
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Whew, Selah, Selah,
But
like,
there isn't just John.
mhm.
Another mentor who has been really near and dear, and thankfully she's still with us, June Gervin.
Mm.
June Gervin, Elder June is the, she is the Jean Augustine of Ottawa. Trust me. The mayor, whoever the mayor is, they see June coming. They're like, oh,
Ooh.
because they know they're not going to be able to say no to whatever she's going to ask on behalf of either our Black community,
Yeah.
our children, our young people, our Indigenous people. June has been, oh my goodness, not iron sharpener is not enough for Elder June, not enough at all. She has instilled sort of that the spiritual element, and that whole, she exudes Ubuntu.
Okay, for those of them who don't know what
Ubuntu,
Ubuntu is,
our common humanity. My humanity is invested in your humanity. Ubuntu is from South Africa, and she lives it. She walks that talk, and she has been in those trenches since the 1950s.
Wow.
1950s. And June is a champion for our children and youth in the city. She got the city of Ottawa to make the city a child-friendly city, to get that designation. And June is also the person who organized the children who met Nelson Mandela, when he inaugurated the Human Rights Monument on Elgin Street with Mama Grasa. And actually, that was my first meeting with June. It just occurred to me. That's when I met her.
Well, I remember. I think you introduced me to. I think I met her when I was in Ottawa.
Yes.
I went to something at the Senate, and I think that's how I met her. Yes. Yeah.
So
wow.
June is sort of that maternal presence in my life, because my parents aren't here. I have no grandparents anymore, and I don't have sort of that elder presence. So June is the mentor who reminds me of the self-care piece, of the, how are you feeling? How is your mind? Never mind all of the advocacy and running around. How are you? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you, overworking yourself?
She's the voice that she is the voice that we all need. And you touched on something about mental health.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question now. Is there a time in your life that you felt that your mental health was at risk?
Yes. 2009. 2009.
You just drew out the date like that. You didn't even have to think about it, Sarah.
I'll never forget it. I've never experienced burnout so severe. So severe. You don't want to get out of bed. I was just at the end, for real. And I just felt very aimless in my advocacy, in my community work. And even, what I was doing at the station was just not, nothing. I was so done. I was really done. I was burnt out. John Dennison, as usual, said, okay, what is this? What are you doing? Okay, we need to have a talk. So he said, okay, I get the sense that you've sort of, sorry, I'm thinking in French. T'as fait le tour du jardin. Like, you've seen you've done what you came to do. You've seen what you came to do here in Ottawa and maybe even in Canada. You need a change of scene. You need to get out, because part of this burnout, I suspect, has to do with you're not growing. You're not growing in your work. You've stopped growing in your work.
Wow.
And it's depressing you, and it's making you feel like your batteries are flat. You're not growing You're not stretching yourself. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, okay, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal, he says. He goes, listen. So every September, I go to Washington, D.C. to the Congressional Black Caucus annual legislative conference. And I want you to come with me to the convention this year, this September. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Cross the board for what? And he's like, no, come with me. And you're going to understand. The first day you're there, you're going to understand why I need to go every year to get my mind back. I'm like, get what? Get your mind back? What are you talking about? He goes, nope, just, make sure, the plane ticket, blah, blah, blah. It's in September. It's a 4-day thing. It's a big convention. All of Black Washington and Black leaders and activists and artists and some celebrities and all kinds of people. You need to get out of Ottawa and you need to
Right.
go to a place where you're seeing people do things at another level. You need to be put in another universe where you might grow and stretch. Oh my goodness, Nicole. It's like that man had given me some sort of magic pill. I arrived at the Ronald D. Washington Convention Center, Washington, D.C., wide-eyed. I was like, oh, what is all this? I've been addicted ever since.
Wow.
I literally need to go every year. I only stopped going when Trump got into power because I was afraid to cross the border. But it literally, I go there to inhale and exhale and to get my mind back.
So Sarah, road trip, Joan Pierre, Emily Mills,
Oh,
are you listening?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Kathy,
I've actually convinced a number of Ottawa friends to come with me, and they have seen and experienced what I've seen and experienced, because it is so next level over there, and the variety of people you meet, the different topics. I met Trayvon Martin's mom and his grandmother and the brother at the Sojourner Truth Awards event. I met Harry Belafonte there. I've met Danny Glover there several times. Malik Yoba. I've met Reverend Al Sharpton and all kinds of Yana Van Zant. And the thing is, when you go there, once you've gotten over the whole celebrity you're focused on what's being discussed. You're focused on the topic. You're focused on the energy. You're focused on the connections that you're making and the ideas that you've never heard.
Right.
Because in the United States, there's a different reality. And things happen at a different speed than from, what we're used to here in Canada. So John was right. I got my mind back.
You got your mind back. Like I didn't that really makes sense, that when you go into a different space, you go into that different hemisphere. And you see, it's the iron sharpeners, and it's about being pelotons, and it's about having the right people to propel you into the purpose that leads you to your destiny. That is so key. Like Sarah, like your life. I mean, I know we're just touching on spots and pieces and glimpses and we haven't gone into that little extra personal part of your life. On relationships.
Oh boy.
So we have friend relationships, like the Kathy Grant relationships, and then we have relationships like, having a significant other. I've never, can I go there with you and ask you about
Listen, you might as well. You know what? You're doing the Oprah tell-all that nobody else is getting. So
okay. So
this is it, right, people?
Yeah.
So
after this, you got to listen to the replay, because I don't know when it's happening again. So, I mean, not many people know, Sarah, that you were married and you are no longer married. And that had a huge impact on your life. Could you share with us a little bit, a glimpse into it? Because I think it's a significant part of who you are that shaped you, and has propelled you into who you want to be. And then Emily, I'll come to your question after, because Emily has a question in the chat.
Well, so I had actually met him in university.
Mm,
I was what, 18 when I met him. I was 25 when we got married. And it was a relationship that happened on 3 different continents. It happened, part of it here in Canada, then in France, then in Kenya. And I still marvel at how it even survived, going back and forth between
right.
the 3 continents. It was an interracial marriage, and neither of us, well, we hadn't really gotten proper preparation for marriage to begin with. Um, a partly long distance marriage, and then an interracial marriage, because people think, oh, love, and everybody's in love, and love is no, love is not enough. Love is not enough. It really takes a certain level of communication, commitment,
Hmm.
and truth, a level of truth, a truth about your expectation, their privilege, because he was a white man,
Right.
acknowledging your differences instead of trying to pretend like they don't exist, and then working together to create your own dynamic, as opposed to listening to what other people are saying or what other people
Hmm.
are expecting. We didn't have those skills, you know. I can't blame all of it on him. I take
Right.
ownership of my piece.
Yeah.
And one thing I did discover was really the importance of sharpening your communication skills. Communicating in a
Mm,
marriage is not like communicating in a friendship, yo.
right.
No, it's
Right.
not like communicating in a relationship. No, or communicating with relatives. No, it's a completely different ball
Hmm.
game.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, you have to really be committed to learning, relearning, unlearning, and keep at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And keep at it consistently. And that's another thing, the consistency.
Keep at it consistently.
Keep
Yes.
at it consistently. And always assume that your marriage is a work in progress. Even 40 years later, it's a work in
In
progress.
progress.
In a marriage, you've never arrived. The goal should not be that you've arrived. You've never arrived. You're still discovering as you go through the different phases of life.
Hmm.
I didn't get to do that with him, but things change, situations change, your physical health changes, you might move, your kids grow up, they move, like, so you need to be realistic about the movement in your marriage. And when you think, oh, you met this person and you married them, they were 25, and that 25-year-old is going to be the 50-year-old.
No, totally different.
I'm
Totally
sorry.
different.
If that's what you're thinking, you're setting yourself up for failure, trust me. you
Hmm.
know so I learned a lot. I have to thank him because part of the reason I came back to Canada after I had left is because, for love, I married him
Yes. Yes.
and came back.
And as you said it, at that point in time, it's an interracial relationship, which
Yeah,
takes a
it's
different level of skills
very,
in attachment to what you need as a skill for a
exactly.
marriage,
Yeah,
and not being prepared for what
yeah,
everything was about.
yeah,
And I thank you for sharing that piece of your life that many people don't know about. And it's a key word, and I know Joan just concurred. A different language. You're so right. You have to
yeah.
work at it every day.
Every
And
day.
communicating with your friends, and the
Yes.
and the 25-year-old is going to be different than the 30-year-old. I
Then the
have a
50.
I have a friend, a couple that every year they check in and they
Yes,
go over
very
their
important.
lists. Yeah. their list. I definitely want to do a show on relationships and marriage because it's such a significant piece, and especially
It's
when relationship break up.
it's the biggest emotional investment you will make.
Mm,
It is an emotional investment. You have to keep adding to the account.
wow.
You have to keep adding to the emotional account. You have to invest and invest wisely. Because if you're going to invest anger, you're going to invest resentment, you're going to invest competition. That is not a good investment.
Woo! Invest wisely. It is
Mhm.
no, that is huge. Thank you. That is huge. Anybody live on the replay, I don't care what kind of relationship you're in,
Yeah,
but emotional
invest wisely.
investment. It's an emotional investment,
But
and
I
so.
learned that because of a failed marriage. I would
Mhm.
not have learned that if I hadn't gone through that. And I find that going through that, it was very traumatic. It took me, I have to say, it's been 22 years. I never remarried. No. Um, I learned to be compassionate
Mm.
and way less judgmental. I didn't realize how judgmental I was.
It sounds like a very. It sounds like something, and I think relationships do that to us, especially when they
Yeah.
don't work out. Humbling. You
Oh gosh, yes.
you either
Yeah.
become bitter or you become humble, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you went the other route of recognizing what the lessons that you could glean from it, and not stew in it and make bitter soup instead of even though
But
there were some bitter lessons along the way. You
yes.
learned how to take it now and change the pot up
Yeah.
so that
But you know what
yeah.
helped? What helped with that?
What was that?
Therapy. Girl,
Mm.
therapy. That was, you see, investment. That was a good investment. Therapy.
You need to say that twice because some people don't recognize.
Therapy.
We
Therapy
need
in
it.
capital letters.
Yeah,
That was the best investment I really.
because you have so much to unpack.
Yeah. And there was also baggage I had brought in
Mm,
to the marriage that I wasn't aware that I had brought in. Emotional baggage and cultural baggage. Because I come from a very traditional um, African background. And in my tribe, it's very patriarchal. My tribe is the same as President Obama.
mm,
With it's the same tribe, and it's very patriarchal and
right,
patrilinear, and it's very much the man at the center of everything,
right.
and the woman has very little agency in such a traditional setting. And I hadn't really learned how to empower myself in that sort of situation. I was married to somebody who comes from a, a society where the women have more sway because it's very feminist in Quebec.
Yeah, yeah.
But you see the clash of the
The
two,
clash of the two
right?
cultures, and
And
not
in our
understand.
household, it was very traditional. My dad was the boss. That's it, and that's all.
And you live with it and you move with it.
Exactly. But well, again, yeah,
Sarah, you're just so brilliant, and I just love how you take your experiences and you're able to see the opportunities in the crisis
yeah,
and
and the
really
lessons.
and the lessons, and you're like, take those gems and turn it into pearls. It's stewing in the little, the clam or the oyster, whatever it is, and then it turns out into pearls of wisdom that come from
Hmm.
you. And
And it also helps that I'm very uh, spiritual as well.
mhm.
My faith is everything to me. And John was oh my goodness, John, very, very strict Anglican, very, oh goodness. Yeah. So he reinforced that. in his mentorship. But I mean, it was already there. And it's very important, even if you're not a Christian or a Muslim or whatever, but you really need to have that sense of a higher being, and a sense that, you know, you're not the beginning and the end and the center of all of it.
Yes.
There are other energies at work. There is a higher power. And, you know, the whole, if a door closes, you know, either another door will open or a window will open, and you need to just be ready to step
Yeah.
through that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's also very faith-based for me.
And that makes so much sense. And both of us are very much grounded in our faith. It's so
Mm-hmm.
important to be, you know, you have
Mm-hmm.
to be rooted and grounded. You need an anchor. You need an anchor. Otherwise, the
Yes.
ship is going to sail off and
Yep.
just wander across the ocean
Yep.
aimlessly and aimlessly. And
Exactly.
as we start thinking about winding down, but I don't like to wind down. Um, and this is the thing, is when you have real talk, real conversations with people, you know, and you learn so much, and you know, Laura says here, lots of learning, lots of learning. Yes, it is lots of learning in a marriage. It is. Um, Emily is asking, how, Sarah, do you stay so youthful with all the work that you're doing? And I want that question too. I want that question too.
Y'all can blame my mom. Good
Mhm.
genes in on the maternal side. Let me tell you, they've tended to age well, um, but just also, you know, live clean. I don't smoke. I don't drink a lot. I usually don't even wear makeup, which is weird for somebody who does TV. I only wear it for this and TV. Just, you know, try and live as healthy a life as possible. But I have to say, genetics.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Good genes,
Hmm.
good genes. And
Thank you,
so,
Mama.
thank you, Mama. So, you know, you are, and I think it, you know, we can't go without even talking about some of that work that you're doing with the history
Yes,
with Kathy. We
yes,
would be remiss if we don't talk about some of that work, that because that is so significant. I want, you
yes.
know, we need Kathy on here. We need to just do a show with you
Of
and Kathy
course.
and talk about that work, please. But if you
Yes.
can just touch on it so people can get an understanding of what is happening with Legacy Voices and the work that you guys are doing.
Okay. Well, initially it was really focused on the Black veterans. Like Kathy did say, I did where I was working. I was outraged that at Remembrance Day ceremonies, you never saw Black veterans, as if they hadn't fought in any of the military campaigns that
Right.
Canada was involved with. With yet, I had met Senator Calvin Ruck before he died, because where I work is like
Wow.
2 streets away from Parliament Hill, and I had run into him, and I had heard about that book about the Number 2 Construction Battalion. And in
Fabulous.
my documentary, I was fortunate enough to actually interview him in the foyer of the House of Commons.
Wow.
Senator Calvin Ruck, the first, no, the second, was he
Second.
the second Black Nova Scotian senator? Yes, because Donald, Mr.
Oliver?
Oliver, Senator Oliver was there first.
I thought Calvin Walker was first, but okay,
No?
but they're there. I thought Calvin
All
was
right.
first, but maybe I'm
Anyway,
mistaken. Yeah,
one of only two at the time. And
yeah.
now we have Senator Wanda Thomas Bernard.
Let's see that. Yeah.
But so I made that documentary. Kathy's father was in it, was in that
Wow.
documentary. Yes. And so after I had met Kathy and told her what her dad had said and blah, 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 and we decided we were going to work together, uh, again, that's why I say Kathy's my boss, because she drives a lot of this. She had all these videos uh, made of videotaped interviews with veterans, mostly from World War II and Korea, and had Veterans Affairs, the Department of National Defense, put them up on the website, and they're still there. I really invite people to go and watch those videos and learn from these mostly gentlemen about their experiences. And so Kathy has organized over the years a series of commemorative events like Black Veterans on the Hill, where it was sort of like a reunion with a lot of those Black veterans in our videos. The recognition ceremony at Les Fusiliers de Mont-Royal that I had the honor of emceeing, where we had, I'm not sure if it was a Lieutenant General Dumais awarding certificates of recognition from DND to these Black veterans, most of whom are no longer with us. So I'm glad that she organized that for them. She has lately really, really been focused on working with young people, because really it's that next generation who need to know the history of Black contributions to Canada's military history. Because again, the fact that they so often are left out of the national narrative means that other communities and white people just assume, well, Black people never really did anything. All they do is cry about civil rights and human rights. And, you know, we don't have any history of them in uniform fighting for Canada and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not true. So Kathy has been making sure that schools are engaged. The focus really is schools and young
Right.
children. So she's had events at ITA's, a different book list,
Okay.
the People
The
Center
people,
on
the people
Bathurst.
center.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes, ITA, salute. And what did she say? The documentary
Just
on our
announced the
Black veterans.
yes, part two.
Yes. So, yeah, things like that, documentary projects. But really, lately, a lot of her energy has been going towards engaging schools, educators, teachers. And what we've also done is worked on digitizing military records. Uh,
Mm.
there were some years where Kathy would come and spend several days, and we'd be up there on the third floor, photographing and digging up all these boxes and making
That's a
sure
lot
that
of work,
it
Sarah.
is, and making sure that they were digital. Because again, if there is no trace of your records, it's like you didn't exist. It's
This,
like
yeah,
you didn't do any of it.
right.
And we were afraid that they would just disappear. And
Like some things are.
exactly, so that's also what she's been doing. But she's not just doing it with military Blacks in the military. She's been doing it with Blacks generally. So she
Right.
has managed to dig up all kinds of amazing um, archives, newspaper clippings, some incredible period photographs. And she's following in her father's footsteps, because Mr. Rowe over in Montreal
Hmm.
was pretty much a walking history of the Black community in Montreal, covering over 50 years. So, yeah. Um,
Kathy,
but
can you put up for us in the chat? Can you put in the chat, how people can find Black Legacy Voices, how they can follow you and know it, so they
Black
can go to the
veterans'
yeah, they
stories
can
of war.
yeah, so they can go to the link. If you put it in the chat, Kathy, they can click the link and go to your page. Yeah. That's so
But
important.
but besides Legacy Voices, a lot of my work is with Black History Ottawa. So
Yes.
Black History Ottawa, we're obviously focused on promoting, the observance of not just Black History Month, but other seminal occasions in the Black community. Emancipation Day we did last year. We did the Remembrance Day, the Digital Remembrance Day, the Online Remembrance Day observance. Um, and so Black History Ottawa, we also support, the work by organizations like Jacques Combit, who have mentorship programs, academic support, organizations like Flow Seniors, who work with our seniors. I forgot to mention, yes, Kathy is right. Holding people account for the accuracy of the information, because there is a lot of false information
Misinformation.
or
Yeah.
misinformation, disinformation, or just sort of omitted information because people want a story to look more cute or a reality to look more cute than it is. And Miss Kathy is on top of it, trust me.
She is. And I know
If
she's been
you're the Globe
educating.
and Mail and you're saying a whole lot of mess about our World War One Black veterans or the number 2 construction battalion, hmm. She will go after you, and she will not let you off the hook until you change, you correct your mistake, because she is right.
Yep. And
You
I
know,
remember Kathy saying that
accuracy,
there's a lot of people sharing information
which
that
is
is so
inaccurate.
inaccurate
Yes.
online. Black History Month comes along, everybody
Yeah.
gets rah 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 rah, and
Hmm.
they don't check the facts. They just
No.
go and repeat what they're sharing.
Exactly.
And I remember when
Exactly.
she said that, it even made me check myself before I wreck myself
Hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
That I'm not a part of perpetrating the
Perpetuating.
crime.
Hmm.
Yeah, perpetuating that crime of misinformation.
Exactly.
And it's we have to do the fact checking, because sometimes we get so excited that we want to share
Yeah.
our positive Black history, that we don't check it to see, oh, you missed some information there. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing, that
Hmm.
Kathy's doing. Black history, oh my god, that's a conversation onto it. Oh, Sarah, do you
Oh,
sleep?
very little. Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
is June Gervin on here?
I
Elder
haven't
June
seen her.
better not be on here, because if I talk
If she,
about getting little sleep, I'm
if
going to
she's
get
on
in
here, she's
trouble.
hiding. She's hiding if she's on.
Oh no. But another thing that I do as well is advocacy with mainstream media on behalf
Mm,
of the Black community. Oh yes, because I'm telling you, there was a time in very white dominated Ottawa media, mainstream media, where they were just, the way they were depicting the Black community, it you felt like you were living in two different universes,
right.
because they were all about, the it if it bleeds it leads, and the gang violence, and um, interactions with police, and expelled Black students, and all kinds of nonsense, you know that from going around in the community, I was seeing all these brilliant young Black people, these entrepreneurial young Black men,
Yeah.
these sophisticated sisters with incredible, ideas and initiatives. I was seeing people like Suzanne Richards of the Cultural Arts Studio, empowering children, youth, families, women, celebrating Caribbean culture like nobody's business. Mainstream wasn't talking about that. So I would literally just like pester the CTVs and the CBCs and the whatever, and say, look, y'all are just lazy. You need
Yeah.
some help?
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
come check out our Black media, and you're going to hear about all these awesome things you're not talking about. And thankfully, over the years, some of the producers and writers and whatever have come around and have taken a greater interest in looking at the grassroots Black community and taking a more balanced approach.
Sounds like you, Emily, and Fenella need to do a workshop for the Black. Sorry,
Oh,
I can,
Fenella,
I can,
weren't
I can see
Fenella and
you.
I in a panel discussion for 100 ABC? Yes.
Yep, yep.
Yes,
I
we
could
were.
see, I could see you, Emily and Fenella,
Yeah.
doing some serious work on this piece, because it is so needed. And even, I like what Fenella is doing even right now, teaching people how to pitch a story, how to share
Yes.
that story, you
Yes.
know,
We
and
need
it is
to
so important.
we need that for Ottawa. We really do need that, because it's not that people don't have good events and good ideas. It's like they don't know how to
How to put
sell.
it out there.
They don't know how to pitch to the
Yep.
mainstream. There's a whole
We,
language around it.
so we
One
need to
thing
tell them to
I
join Fenella's doing a lot of workshops right now on
Okay,
pitching.
I
So
need to
tell them,
go
yeah,
I need
FKB
to go check
Media.
that
I'm
out.
just saying she's putting it out there, and I'm attending. I'm attending.
Okay.
Yeah.
But quickly before we close, because we've
Yes.
been we've been at this a while. How you're always talking about my clothes.
Yes,
I had to
ma'am.
wear a special outfit or whatever. Um, so it's not just out of mere vanity. This is part of my purpose. This is part of my mission. As a very proud African woman, I need to support the
Yes.
economic development of my own people. And one way in which I choose to do that is this: buy the jewelry by our artisans, that's what's up. That's what I'm saying. Buy the fabric. I spend a
Yes.
fortune in fabric every
Authentic
year.
fabric.
Yes,
Authentic fabric.
right. You know, the mud cloth, the adire,
Mhm.
the bogolan, you know, the faso d'anfasi, all of that, the bazin from Senegal, Guinea. But for me, it's a statement. Every event or speaking engagement or emceeing or whatever, this is what you're going to get. You're not getting me in a suit, and I'm
Mhm.
not going to do the European thing. I want to make a statement. And that statement is my people know how to make clothing, they know how to make fabric, they know how to make some divine jewelry.
Yes.
And y'all need to buy their stuff.
And stop imitating their stuff.
Yes, stop imitating it and buy their stuff. Invest. So for me, it's an
Yes.
investment and it's a continuation of who I am. Yes, Kathy, I love your clothes. Yes. And you are the
Kathy, you and
beneficiary.
I know.
Yes,
I was having a conversation with Sarah one day, and she said, "No, you would have to fight Kathy." And I was like, "Oh Lord, that I've
exactly.
lost
Because
the battle. I've
she's
lost the
first
battle."
in line.
I know.
Always. Always, always. But yes, and she's first in line because she's sort of in the same, you know, way of thinking in terms of it's
Mhm.
not just clothing. It's a statement. It's a statement
Yeah.
about who I am and what I support. And Black empowerment looks like this.
Yes.
Black empowerment looks like this. So you got to walk the talk and you have to put your money where your mouth
Your
is
mouth is.
and where your clothing is, literally.
Yep. But everything is, uh Sarah, I'm just so stoked by this conversation. I love
I
chatting
love
with you.
it.
I love listening to you.
I
I
was
love
so
learning from
nervous.
you. I have two last questions for you.
You you have more questions?
What does victory, you can't end without saying what victory looks like to you. You're on the Victory Speak show, girl. You got to tell us what
Well,
victory looks like to you. What does victory look like to you?
victory to me looks like a thriving, empowered Black community.
Hmm. A thriving, empowered Black
Black
community.
community is what and look, it's not that I'm racist and all of this and
Yep,
all of
I
that.
know. I
I
know.
love other cultures and yeah, but I will not apologize for the passion I have for my own community, especially because of the way we have been traditionally marginalized on these
Mhm.
unceded and unsurrendered
Uncensored.
indigenous lands, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll let other people support other cultures, etc. I'm I'm
There's
I'm
enough people.
I'm focusing on my lane. My lane is this one. So victory
What's your
to
legacy?
me looks like this really flourishing, empowered, and you know what? I'm seeing victory every day. Every time I go online, I watch YouTube. I'm like, wow, who is this amazing creator, content creator like the Shirley Josephs, even yourself and Dr. Vine? You guys have been really giving me life during this pandemic.
Thank
Seriously,
you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
seriously, you have no idea,
I have
really.
no idea because you just shocked me by that statement.
Yes, you guys have given me life. Like just the ability to hear these conversations that you've had with some people, many of whom I've admired from near and afar, and and the way Dr. Vibe brings together, you know, Black people from the diaspora, from across the country, talking about the issues we care about, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
from a very empowered standpoint giving me life, and I know a lot of other people life, really.
So, Sarah, 20 years
Hmm.
from now, looking back on your life, what do you think
Hmm.
will matter to you? What do you think would matter most to you 20 years from now, looking back on your life?
Did I leave? Did I leave my Black community better than I found it?
Mm, that's so good.
That's it.
That's so good. Did I leave my Black community better than I found it? And I'm going to give you some more of your flowers because, these people are giving you your flowers. I'm going to give it to you now. Thank you for the honor of getting to know you and being blown away by all that you do. Lau-
Merci.
Loris, I
Merci.
am with you, Sarah, a thriving, empowered Black
Yes.
community.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Kathy, what a tremendous birthday gift you have
Yes.
provided to us all, Nicole, by hosting Sarah. Listen, I feel so blessed by
Yes.
this 50th birthday gift. I feel like I'm 50 all over again, right? And Nana Mensa says, thank you so much, ladies, for having such a
Oh,
good evening.
listen. No, stop.
I am stopping. Okay.
Sister Helena. Sister Helena?
She's been
Hmm.
on the whole time.
No, listen. You see all the beautiful fabric I have and those
Yeah.
outfits? Those outfits are made by ladies here in Ottawa, Gatineau. Uh, two of them from Cameroon, one from Congo. All the fabric comes from Nana's Fashion and Beauty Supplies on Richmond Road. And that is a business owned by Sister Helena and her husband, George. And I have to boast a little bit here about my Ghanaian family here in Ottawa, Gatineau, doing so well with all of their small businesses, keeping us connected with food, fabulous fabric, even music. Thank you. Sister Helena and Brother George are sort of like part of my extended community family.
Listen, this is the only time I wish I was back in Ottawa because when I was back in Ottawa, it was a little kind of cold there,
Yes.
I think. But getting some fabric and getting some clothing because like right now, for me on the show, that's how I want to be. That's the dress, the mode. Trinidad is a very cultural society and we're
Yes, it
very
is.
much into fashion,
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm deliberately my set is not a green screen. It's fabric, authentic fabric that I have gotten that I've
I
kept over
love
the
that
years.
kente.
Listen, and
Kente.
I just want to showcase who we are and what we have and what we do and what we bring to the table because we're so talented as you said.
Oh,
And I treasure the gifts. I don't have enough room in my house for some of the things that I want to have yet.
yes.
And I
Yes.
and I met one of your Brenda, was it Brenda Williams on the
Brenda
weekend?
Williams,
Yes,
Sister Brenda from Sierra Leone, who has
yes,
New Life Project Inc., who
yes.
also has African clothing, and they make clothing there and jewelry, etc. But she also runs a very life-changing program for rehabilitated um, sex workers
Mm.
in Côte d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Liberia.
Yeah, I'm bringing her on. I'm bringing her
Yes,
on. Oh yeah, I'm
yeah,
bringing her on. I'm bringing her on.
because Sister Brenda's story is, I'm not inspiring. Sister Brenda is inspiring. Her story is something else.
But here's what you do, Sarah. You bring life to people. You tell us who they are. You are, you used a word. Let me go back to my notes. Let me see if I could find it. You're the opportunity broker. You have the community advocate code of conduct. I need to get that list because I need to have work on my code of conduct. Do you hear understand what I'm saying? You show up on purpose with purpose. You know, there's so much that you have shared tonight. And if you missed Sarah, well, if you missed the show, you got to go back to the replay because this was so good. I have learned so much. Like all of you, show up as your authentic self. You have shared some of the most beautiful self. In fact, the whole all of you is beautiful, transparent parts of your life, parts that people didn't even know about before. You're what victory is all about. Inspiring us and showing us how to yeah, take the opportunities in any crisis. Nana Mensa says merci, merci. And Wendy Jones says, "Thank you again. You're welcome, Wendy. It's my honor, my pleasure. Hopefully, we can get you on the show next. I have to put the pressure on the people live because sometimes they don't want to listen to me, Sarah. And I'm so glad that all of you have tuned in and helped me to celebrate this night. Show 50. Didn't think I was even gonna get to 50. That wasn't even in my plans. And so I am so grateful to everybody who have been here live and on the replay. I hope you share it with your friends. You can go to Victory Speak 7 on YouTube this Tuesday, tomorrow night, June the 8th. I'm on Clubhouse with Coach Danny Stone and Love More and Dr. Vibe. And our topic is how to get back on track when your goals, you just can't make them happen. And on Friday, I co host with Love More, and she does a show on Speak Up and Empower. We're there. And, I want to repeat that quote that I shared earlier because it was so in sync with what Sarah, you were saying, and what John told you. What we do for ourselves dies with us, and what we do for others lives on forever. And if you love this conversation, show Sarah your round of applause with your hearts and your flowers. Let us see it. I encourage you every day, seek to have an inspired conversation with someone you love, someone you just met along the way. And all you just have to do is smile. And remember, love is in the details. Remember, the details are so important. Thank you so much for tuning in, for
One thing
being a
I
part.
forgot.
You can go on. This is a master class because this was just, we have
No,
master classes. There's some shows that are master classes. Yours was a master class. Jones was a master class. Emma was a master class. This is a master class. Go. What else?
no. You remember how I opened by greeting you in my language?
Yes.
So I want to leave by
Ah,
saying goodbye in my language
thank you.
and thanking you. Erokamano. Erokamano is thank you. Erokamano. And oriti.
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 Oriti. So,
Oriti.
Oriti, everybody, thank you
Yeah.
for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Have a victorious week. And on Wednesday, I am going to have a nutritionist on the line. Winsome Dewar is going to be on the line. Listen, if you want to change how you're living, it's not just about weight, it's about your healthy lifestyle, it's about how food looks to you. She talks about her life being changed by her, there's many illnesses in her family and deaths came in her family, and it made her change the trajectory of her life and going into becoming a nutritionist. How to pick the right supplements for yourself. And many of us are getting the vaccine and the COVID,
Mm-hmm.
you need supplements. You need to boost your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we need to do? And so Winsome is going to come on and share on Wednesday next week. Oh, the show's planned for next week. Fathers, we're going to have a show for fathers coming up next week, Wednesday. So you got to tune in and you got to stay tuned to see who the guests are. I'll drop the flyer soon enough. So thank you, everyone. Good night.